Another gorgeous look, though, out of Paris in France, this time of the Eiffel Tower. The Olympics, they're being held there right now. It's day 8 of the Games. And right now, the U.S. leads the medal count with 43 total medals. But another story continues to make headlines around the world. The fallout over an Olympic boxing controversy continues, and it has some critics calling for a rule change. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott has more from London.
It's not a black and white issue.
The International Olympic Committee is playing defense a day after an Algerian boxer deemed a biological male faced off against an Italian opponent who was hit so hard she stopped the fight, prompting calls for the rules to be changed, with critics pointing out the Algerian and a Taiwanese fighter also at the Olympics were both disqualified from the Women's World Boxing Championships for having competitive advantages over female boxers. The IOC calls the issue a, quote, minefield, and says they'll remain in competition for now.
I think if you start working on all suspicions, then we end up very much heading towards a gender testing regime, which is not good for anybody.
But others say the issue isn't that complicated, and they just want to see athletes competing on a level playing field.
Athletes who have male genetic characteristics should not be allowed to compete in women's competitions, not because we want to discriminate against anyone, but to protect the rights of female athletes.
Meanwhile, Olympic legend Simone Biles is putting the focus on mental health after winning her second gold medal in Paris and 6th overall. She says she's been leaning on her support network to help deal with the intense pressure of being in the Olympic spotlight.
Even this morning at 7 a.m., I saw my therapist, and there's a time change. So she is so amazing for allowing me to do that these couple of days here in Paris.
At 27, Biles became the oldest athlete in more than 70 years to win the all-round women's gymnastics. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Thank you to Greg for providing that update. And meanwhile, let's get back to what he first spoke about in that reporter story that he had. The other boxer involved in that controversy, Angela Carini of Italy, she is apologizing and telling an Italian newspaper, quote, "It wasn't something I intended to do. Actually, I want to apologize to her and everyone else. I was angry because my Olympics had gone up in smoke. All this controversy makes me so sad." A direct quote, again, from Angela Carini of Italy, speaking to an Italian newspaper. Khelif has not issued a public statement on the backlash. I do want to bring up some other statements, though, that we have been following here from the Olympic boxing controversy, the first from the International Olympics Committee. Their statement says this: "These two athletes were the victims of a sudden and arbitrary decision by the IBA. The current aggression against these two athletes is based entirely on this arbitrary decision, which was taken without any proper procedure, especially considering that these athletes had been competing in top-level competition for many years." Another statement that we would like to read is coming from the International Boxing Association. They say the IBA will never support any boxing bouts between the genders as the organization puts the safety and well-being of our athletes first. "We are protecting our women and their rights to compete in the ring against equal rivals, and we will defend and support them in all instances." And then finally, a statement from the National Health Service in the UK. "You or your child may have sex chromosomes, bundles of genes, usually associated with being female, XX chromosomes, or usually associated with being male, XY chromosomes, but reproductive organs and genitals that may look different from usual." Just wanted to make sure that we touched on this story that is really grabbing attention across the world. A live look once again over there at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, those Olympic Games still ongoing. We'll see you back here right after this.